Solar flash update for November 15th. Elites are in full retreat. Open contact is imminent. Light beings are ecstatic about the state of human consciousness, and ascension is happening faster than the universe expected. As always, my suggestion is to question your reality and then change it. Be sure to stay tuned for this whole video because I do have a list of what I'm going to be sharing with you and what I've learned in meditation with the light beings. Thunderwizard.com is the website that supports this channel. I do appreciate your support. Go check out the higher dimensional energy practices, personal mentorship, spiritual counseling, live Zoom group classes. Books can be found at michaelwilliamdenny.com. And we have herbs.thunderwizard.com, mushrooms, herbs, adaptogens, vitamins. These are supplements that I personally use to help my body handle the ascension process. Be sure to check out and please come to the live guided CE5 interdimensional meditations that we have every Wednesday and Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you haven't already, check out the Atum Ra meditation to become the ruling god of your universe. This is a guided meditation. I take you through the process of the mythological path that the self-created god that is found in ancient Egyptian and I believe in ancient Atlantean spirituality. Please check that out. All right, so the solar flash update for November 15th. That is what we are going to be talking about today. I just have to tell you that this last live guided meditation that we did, I was completely, totally down for the count afterwards. That meditation that we did was the most powerful yet, and we've had some really powerful ones. The energy frequency was different. I've never felt one that high. The frequency was very high and very pure. I've never felt anything like that ever in my existence, at least in this lifetime. And afterwards, I felt, from the light beings that came afterwards, I felt again that the light beings that spoke with me were like, we are in absolute disbelief. We've never seen anything like this. And I'll talk a little bit about that, them saying things like, we've created a new frequency at a higher level that hasn't existed before. So, I'm just sharing with you my experiences afterwards. But the next day, yesterday, I was completely, totally worthless. I tried to get my life together that day. I tried to do things, and I could barely move from the couch to the bed. I was a little worried about myself because I was so wiped out, and it was a direct result of the power within that meditation that we experienced. So I have a whole different understanding, a whole different appreciation. I mean, if you're watching my channel, especially if you're, maybe kind of new or sort of, looking from the periphery, and you hear the absolutely, completely grandiose, fantastical, unbelievable things that I'm sharing, I'm with you. When I was experiencing these things and I experienced that I was being shown and told these things, I had nothing but resistance and disbelief to it. I like to live bravely. So it took more bravery to accept what I was experiencing and say yes to what I was experiencing than to do the easy thing, which was talk myself out of it. My thought process was, what's the worst that can happen? I've been wrong before. It's okay if I'm wrong again. I can live with that. But I'll be very upset if it turns out that these messages and experiences that are coming to me and what I believed I was being invited to experience and become, that if I had said no to that and it turned out to be true, I would have been very sad about that. If I say yes to it and it turns out not to be true, well then big deal. What have I lost? At worst case scenario, I've opened myself up to expansion and growth, and that can only benefit me, So I figured it was better to take the difficult road, which was to lean into these experiences, lean into the feelings like I was losing my mind, because I was losing my 3D mind, and to accept these experiences. And that's a big lead up to say that attitude has served very well. And I never expected reality to be what it actually is. But I never expected to be on the other end of light beings who are saying, we've never seen anything like this before. And I'm specifically talking about the meditations that we're doing, these live guided interdimensional meditations. I'm specifically talking about those. That what we are accomplishing in those meditations is, it defies all of our 3D logic. Because the third dimensional experience, forget about, mythology and religion, which also agrees with what I'm about to say, but the third dimensional experience trains us to assume that we are the least powerful in the universe, and that, beings that are on the outside of the veil, as we call it, which is the separation between third dimensional and higher dimensional experiences, which is where all of the gods and the spirits and the guides live. Our third dimensional experience trains us to assume that we are less powerful than they are. Now, it's one thing to say, which I've been saying for many years, and I've proven it to be true through my experiences. But I've been saying for many years that human beings are the most powerful, and that the gods and the angels look at us and they go, I wish I had the guts to do that. I wish I could have the opportunity to be a 3D human, because they can see the power that can be achieved in terms of our awakening. But it goes beyond that. The power that we have in the third dimension, the ability that we have to create outside of this dimension as well as in this dimension, is potentially more powerful as a human being than as a light being or a god. And this is why I love the story of Odin. Odin, if you look at it, Odin didn't start out as a god. Odin, if you read between the lines of the mythology, Odin started out as, if you depending on how you read it, you could even say that Odin was a dwarf, which is subhuman. Dwarves are like the parameters of the human form, and the spirit of man goes within that. And you could even make the argument that Odin started out as beneath human, and then he expanded himself and rose to the point, and then as a human, he sacrificed his ego. He sacrificed himself to himself on the tree of life, which is the Kundalini, which is consciousness awakening. And as a result of that, he had to go even beyond that. He had to not only die to his ego, but it says, screaming, he took up the runes. The runes means the secrets of existence. And in fact, runes can be translated as whisper or secret. and he went beyond even, his higher dimensional state, and screaming, he reached out for that. So that's showing us what we need to do. So the first level is to get over the petty. First, you got to get over your victim mentality. You've got to get over that. And if you're watching this and if this hasn't sunk in yet, you've got to drop all of the victim mentality beliefs. You've got to drop all the beliefs in false beings of light, that there are evil beings higher in the fourth dimension or the fifth dimension. That's very popular, that there are evil beings coming from the fourth dimension. It's impossible. There are demons in the second dimension, but when you find out what a demon really is, a demon is not a fallen soul or a fallen angel. A demon is nothing more than an emotional program that's been released. Some human filled with a lot of negative emotions when they die. Even when they're alive, you can create them and release them. And so they are like emotional, negative emotional AI programs looking for things that they can feed off of. They really are like, emotional. Anyway, I won't take up the time to talk about that. The point I'm trying to make is that that's where the negativity comes from. It comes from within our reactions and then lower dimensional beings. But if you want to be like Odin and you want to experience what I'm talking about, you want to lean into it, the first thing you got to do is you got to drop all victim mentality. You have to take full responsibility, full and complete responsibility for everything in your life and for even manifesting in this reality. You don't do that, nothing's going to happen. And unfortunately, victims, which includes persecutors, people who persecute, victimize, or also have victim mentalities or they wouldn't do such things. And then there are the willing victims. We could call them codependents. These are people who seek out being victimized. They complain about it. Consciously, they are in pain and complain about it. If you're in a relationship with an abusive person and you want to complain about how you can't get out of it, well, you got yourself into it. You picked it. I'm sorry, it sounds harsh. It sounds like I'm victim blaming, but it's the truth. And when you just accept that as a reality, then you have the opportunity to awaken yourself to other potential realities. But victims will not make it. They will not make it to the higher dimensional shift, and it will be their choice. Anyway, I could go on and on about that, but we'll keep going. So I do have a list that we're going to talk about. Again, I told you we have a list. I'm going to work through that. But I just want to prime this because I am absolutely blown away. What I am finding out is that human beings are the gods. That the gods and the light beings that are working with us, we have the potential to be the gods. We can take responsibility for the evolution of the multiverse. And we are in a much better position to do it from here than out there. All right, I'll leave that for another video. All right, so ascension is happening on a faster timeline than expected. This is what I am picking up. Now, what I'm learning as I get deeper and deeper into multidimensional experience is that there isn't one answer for anything. There isn't one truth. The truth is like a rainbow. There's multiple truths, and whatever angle you look at it is true. I can remember as a kid, I'm looking at it here. Maybe I can show you. Let's see here. All right, so, oh, these are plastic. So there's, above me is what looks like a crystal chandelier. Now that I pick it up, it's actually made out of plastic, but the idea is still the same. So, you look at all the different facets in there. So I can remember as a kid, my mom would clean the the crystal chandelier, and she'd pull the crystals off, and she'd polish them and put them down. And I can remember picking it up and putting my eye to it and turning it around. And I was noticing that no matter where I looked in the different facets, there would be a different angle, and I'd pull it and I'd look at the room, and then I'd do this, and I could see that there were multiple different angles, and depending on how I twisted it, I could see things and see the room differently from different vantage points. But the room is the room. But how the light hits it would completely change my perspective of everything. Excuse me while I put this back up here. All right, so that is our reality. And so while what I'm about to tell you is true, it's also true that things are happening the way that they were meant to happen, and yet there isn't one way. So what I'm saying is that we are in a new manifestation of reality. We are in a new manifestation, if you want to call it a timeline. We're in a brand new timeline that was not foreseen by anybody. I just got some energy as I said that. We are in a brand new timeline that has not been foreseen. And yet at the same time, from a higher dimensional perspective, of course it was. There are beings in dimensions that are so high that they see more probabilities than we can. And they can have very subtle influence on it. But remember that we have free will. We can choose. That means that we can choose to completely, totally go far beyond anything that has been previously envisioned. So, on the one hand, way up the dimensional ladder, there are beings that are like, yep, this is how we wanted it to happen. This is our preferred way. And then as you go further down the dimensional ladder, when you deal with light beings and councils and gods and demigods and all of that, they only see a certain number of probabilities. And so they have seen that Earth is going to shift into what we call 5D, and that is unavoidable. And that is going to happen no matter what. The question is, how is it going to happen? The question is, are we going to participate in that which will make a smoother transition, a faster transition, a more pleasant transition, because there doesn't need to be any of these tragedies happening. None of this has to happen. Now, if we don't wake up, if we don't choose to take the difficult, brave path of leaning into the ascension, if we choose not to do that, then what will happen is that there will be disasters, horrific disasters, and all kinds of horrible things will happen. And then there will be no choice but to awaken. So awakening is going to happen no matter what. The question is, do you want it to be a pleasant experience, or do you want it to be a catastrophic experience? The more that you lean into a victim mentality, the more catastrophic it will be. The more that you lean into the brave Odin path of self-transformation, of dying to yourself, screaming and taking up the truth of the universe, the more that you do that, the faster and the more pleasant the experience is. Now, beyond that, what the light beings are saying, as I said, is we've never seen anything like this. We've never seen an ascension happen this way. Now, they always talk to, channelers that channel, and they supposedly speak from, a certain light being or alien, and they talk about the world. My experience is that light beings don't do that. Light beings talk to you individually. They talk about you. They don't talk about other people. So they don't talk about, they tend not to talk about the world. So you can tell if you're having an honest experience with a light being because they're going to want to talk to you about you, and they're going to tell you about your potential, about your reality, because it is an individual experience. And when you talk about the group, then you're assuming that something outside of us is going to hit the earth, and we all have to sit back and wait for this thing to come hit us. And light beings know better than that. They know that our experience is an internal, personal experience, and our decision is what will determine the reality. Now, when you have a mass of people who are all focusing on their own empowerment, then the external happens. So the ascension is happening on a faster timeline than they expected. All right, so the elites are terrified of losing the influence they have on the narrative. So one of the other benefits of this, we're like I said, light beings are saying, we haven't seen anything like this. And I'm telling you, from my perspective, it's because of these meditations we're doing. The meditations that we're doing are having, from my perspective, my experience, and from the information I'm getting, these meditations are the most powerful agents of transformation right now. And the light beings didn't expect that we would be able to shift our reality as fast and as thoroughly and as powerfully as we are. And they're saying we've never seen anything like this. So I'm saying that, can you imagine what that's like for a 3D human who has that assumption that, we're these tiny things and everything else is coming and doing it to us, to have beings that are in a dimension that are beyond this one, that are exuding power, beyond anything I've ever experienced. So from my 3D perspective, they're like gods. And they're saying, what you're doing, we've never seen anything like this. The power that you are, and I get this message almost daily, that the level of power that you have is beyond anything we've ever seen. And of course, they're talking about me in my astral self. So again, they talk to each of us individually, so they'll probably say things like that to you. But imagine what that's like for my third dimensional mind. This was the most difficult part, to be told that I had more power than they did. And I'm just a third dimensional human. So I'm here to tell you, you have more power than the gods if you choose to accept it. And the way that you manifest that power is not inside of the 3D virtual reality video game. That's a waste of time. So stop screwing around with magic and trying to become magical here. Stop screwing around trying to gain power and do magical spells. It's a waste of time. You're just playing around inside of the matrix. It's a waste of time. Go outside of the matrix. And that's what these interdimensional meditations are. It's very easy to do. So the elites are terrified of losing the influence they have on the narrative. And the truth is that they knew this was coming. That's why they overreached. Now, I've known, ever since 2021, when I have had my real awakening to the existence of this, worldwide bank cartel cabal that's running the world. And the more that I look into, these extremely evil people. Now, they're people with souls, and they can awaken, unlike people who understandably want to talk about this idea that they're NPCs. Now, that's your victim mentality talking. Every single incarnated human, including the deep state, evil, horrible, psychopathic rulers, they have a soul, and they can awaken. It's potentially much more difficult for them that it is for you. But underneath all of that, there is a human soul, and they have their part to play in this game. They are turning up the heat, because if they weren't, look what's happening. People are waking up, and people are waking up because of the very real evil hostility that is openly being unleashed on the human race. That's what's waking people up more than anything. Because, as I've said for years, one of the things that blew my mind is, during the pandemic and all of the nonsense that was happening during that, my thought process was, why are they doing this? They could continue to have complete control over everything. They could continue with this Ponzi scheme, using the banks and everything else to control reality and to stay super rich. I mean, how many billions do you need? But when they started overreaching, when they started not caring about whether or not we were going to see them, and having this hope that they would somehow do an end run around us and be able to control us against our will, and then lock in so much control that it wouldn't matter whether we rebelled or not. Knowing that was a failed mindset. That was a failed strategy. It's not going to work. Anybody can see that. So it means that they have nothing to lose, and it means that they know that it's inevitable that they're going to lose their power, which makes them more dangerous than ever. They are a wounded, cornered animal, and that's when they're the most dangerous. What the truth is, they are going to be utterly and completely defeated. The question is when and how, and this is what I like about the Hopi prophecy, which says it's not just one prophecy. It says, well, the first thing is going to happen is this, and there's a couple things that have come and gone, and we didn't pay attention. So they said, okay, so they're going to have to, the universe is going to turn up the heat, and we had the 2 world wars, and then, so now we're in this state where we have the Pahana, which is the purifiers. And, believe me or don't believe me, Trump is the Bahana that was said to come, the man who's going to come in the red hat, who's going to go after the elites. And, but we still have to listen. We still have to be part of it. We still have to co-sign that and become Bahanas ourselves. If we choose not to listen, then things are going to get much worse. Now that's the Hopi prophecy. But I'm here to tell you that we've opened up new probable realities that the Hopis didn't see. So the elites are terrified of losing the influence on the narrative, and they are losing horrifically. Dark forces are attempting to pivot to alien invasion threat. So this is really interesting to me. The news channels, even the so-called the news channels that pretend to be independent and alternative. I forget the names of them. Fox is one. These news channels are live streaming and doing a lot of news stories on these supposed congressional hearings on UFOs and UAPs. And I'm here to tell you it's complete nonsense. It's theater. Because first off, nobody's calling Dr. Stephen Greer, who has the by far the largest amount of proof for a supposed government cover-up. What they still want to come at you with this. There is a secret UFO retrieval program, and then you have deep state shills like Luis Elizondo, who is paid. He's a paid Pentagon agent of disinformation, and he presents himself as a whistleblower. But the only thing he says in these things is that here we have, these secret videos, Pentagon videos. Like, how can you steal secret Pentagon videos and not end up face down in a ditch? how does that happen? So we have somebody who openly says, I used to work, in Pentagon military intelligence, and now I'm a whistleblower, and I have these secret Pentagon, videos of UAPs flying over military sites. And I'm here to tell you that we don't have that technology. And the fact of the matter is that he gets his permission from the Pentagon about what he can say and what he can't say. He's a deep state shill. And the assumption is that, and what the lies that the open lies that are very easy to find out is when they say that that we don't have the technology to do what these vehicles are doing. And it's just not true. This is why, again, nobody's listening to Dr. Stephen Greer and his actual whistleblowers, who will give you proof that, not only can we do that, we can do much more than that. We have all kinds of weapons. We have, it's already been openly admitted to by, Raytheon and other Pentagon, technology manufacturers who have said, we went beyond Star Trek and Star Wars years ago. Which means that they're already flying to other planets. They already have anti-grav technology. They already have energy-directed weapons. They already have faster-than-light weapons and communication. They already have all that. And they've had it for a very long time. So when you hear these so-called whistleblowers lying to your face against the evidence, saying that human beings don't have the technology to make these kinds of vehicles, it's because they're trying to scare you into believing that aliens are going to come and invade you. And so they're trying to pivot, because it's interesting, the timing of it. Trump wins, which wasn't supposed to happen. And even though I believe that it's possible, and I don't have any proof for this, but I believe it's very possible, if not likely, that the election was still rigged, but they weren't able to do it because, Trump and his lawyers were on the ground watching things. And there were far more people. I mean, they weren't expecting this groundswell of popular support for Trump. They really thought they could do what they did last time and manufacture, 20 million votes out of thin air and say, look, we won by, 4 or 5 million, which is nonsense, in my opinion. Anyway, how'd we get off on that? So anyway, the timing of it is very suspicious. And once again, what I find interesting, if I look in the comments, I've looked in the comments of some of these videos, and people are saying, I don't care about aliens. And that's the thing. They really thought that people were going to get frightened over the thought of being invaded by ETs. And the truth of the matter is that when you're fighting for your own ability to pay your bills and buy food, and you have to dodge, mysterious illnesses coming out of thin air, and all of the, the lies and all that stuff. People are just more concerned with their day-to-day life than something that they can't even envision, which is what? So you think that there might be aliens? And the fact is that aliens haven't done anything to anybody. That's, there's no credible evidence other than the fake abductions, or I should say the staged abductions. They're not fake, they're real, but they're manufactured, orchestrated, and staged by humans. Other than that, there isn't any real proof of anything, other than, we had, last year or a couple of years ago, where, giant 10-foot naked aliens jumping on people's roof and trying to steal tractors and, crazy things like that, and showing up in, shopping malls looking for Nikes. Sorry, the guy's going to now, going to cut my lawn, so you're going to have to deal with some noise. Anyway, the timing of it is, but nobody cares, because nothing has happened. Nothing has really happened in terms of aliens, and so nobody is afraid of them and nobody cares. And the deep state didn't see this coming, because they're children, because they're narcissists, and because they are psychopaths. They're mentally ill, and because they literally have the understanding of an infant, because that's narcissists. Narcissists, psychopaths, psychologically have the emotional maturity of an infant. So they think in their fantasies that they're going to, create these fake aliens, and very convincingly so. And they think that it's going to frighten you, because it would frighten a child. It would frighten an infant. The thought of it doesn't frighten actual adults who are dealing with real adult things and have to struggle to live. They don't care about that. So it's interesting that they've pivoted towards this alien invasion threat. We still need to stay aware of their surprises. Here's the good news. Everything that they do is going to backfire. So if they continue to do stupid things like the things that are happening with FEMA, just on the surface, just the idea, that they're, without getting into tinfoil hat stuff, you've got tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars being given to a foreign country to fight a war that at least half of the country doesn't want to be a part of. And then there are actual problems happening here with hurricanes and other natural disasters. Still nothing has happened. We've forgotten about Lahaina, but we've got these natural disasters of tax-paying Americans who, if they're lucky, are given an opportunity to apply online for $750. And yet the amount of money that has been given to Ukraine by far would fix everybody's problems in the country. It would take literally every person off of the street. It would get everybody into hospitals and heal every single disease and issue that needs to be taken care of. So you'd be able to pay for all health care. You'd be able to pay for everybody's housing. You'd be able to pay for all kinds of programs, people in debt. You'd be able to get every lawful citizen in the United States with a home and with money in their pocket. But instead, they're giving all of that money to the Middle East and to Ukraine and other programs we don't even know about. Trillions of dollars disappear in the budget all the time. And we're handing millions of dollars to people from other countries to come and be homeless on our streets. Coming into our country, here's a few $1,000s. Go ahead. Oh, sorry, we're not going to give you a job. Just go ahead and be homeless and start, ending up having to do horrible things to survive. So nobody's paying attention to them. At this point, no matter what they do, it's going to backfire on them. All right, so interdimensional meditation is changing the timelines. I may have already touched on this, but again, this is what's coming back to me from the light beings. And I'm not even telling you all of it, what they've told me. If I told you all of what they told me, I don't know, maybe you'd like it, maybe you wouldn't. My false humility won't allow me to tell you what they've been telling you about me. But they are in awe of what we are accomplishing, what we are doing in these meditations. Again, this is the game. This is the dream. This is the illusion. This is the fake matrix. This isn't reality. So what you see happening around you is not reality. It is a video game. True reality is outside. So when you get into higher dimensions where other extraterrestrials live, by the way, and this is one of the problems with the fake alien thing. Aliens aren't third-dimensional beings flying around in third-dimensional anti-gravitational technologies, needing to take people hostage and feed off of them and experiment on them. Humans do that. ETs don't do that because they're in a higher dimension. And in the higher dimension, you don't need any of that nonsense. The whole idea of, extraterrestrials and their world is dying and they have to come and siphon gold out of our ground, or take our DNA. That's a third dimensional problem. When you're in higher dimensions, you are directly connected to the source, and you create everything with your mind. And so they know how to completely heal their bodies. They know how to completely create everything. All of their technology is powered by consciousness, is powered by the spirit. So this idea that they're in a dying world and they have to come and siphon off from that's just pure nonsense. Anybody who thinks like that has never been outside of the third dimension. So, interdimensional meditation is changing the timelines. Interdimensional meditation has increased the frequency of 5D Earth. This is the latest message that I'm getting. The latest message that I'm getting after our last meditation, I experienced this. In the meditation, what we did, if you go back to the one we did, today is the 15th, so 14th, so the 13th, if you go back to November 13th, and if you haven't already, listen to that meditation. The first thing that happened was not something I'd ever planned or even imagined. We were meditating, and then I started taking us up this ladder of light. And we went up to an extremely high dimension that I don't know if I've ever been to. And, we received these empowerments. And then we came back and we took that power, that frequency, and we used it to shift Earth in the ways that, the different ways that we did. And the light beings were saying, we've never seen anything like that. And I'm here to tell you that the 5D Earth that is now going to be birthed as a result of that meditation is in an even higher frequency than it was before. So what we've been expecting for 5D, the actual 5D is going to be a higher frequency than that. Frequency that they didn't see coming. And the light beings are like, we've never seen this before. We created a brand new dimension, a brand new reality. I don't know how else to put it. Those are the messages and the feelings that I'm getting. So interdimensional meditation has increased the frequency of 5D Earth. Light beings say we are creating a new light frequency. Humans are in a position to invent completely new timelines. So I want you to forget everything that you've heard from anybody who's prophesying or predicting psychically or otherwise. I want you to forget that. You now have permission to start over and do whatever the heck you want. So we don't have to wait around. We don't have to wait around for 20, 30, or whatever it is, whatever this extended timeline is that most people think. We can bring it about when we choose. And so we can choose how this is going to happen. We have the most power. Those of us who are doing the interdimensional meditation, and anybody around the world who's doing anything similarly, you have the most power. You're God. You have more power than God. You have the power to create everything. So just decide how you want it to be. Decide how you want it to be, and then we can go create it. What we did last week, again, I've never experienced anything like it. And anyway, so I encourage you to continue to do that work. Light councils are scrambling to keep up with the new ascension. So I'm repeating myself here, but that's the feeling I get. The feeling I get is that even the higher level councils that are in charge of, orchestrating timelines and how things happen, even they're like scrambling to go, whoa, wow, and they're scrambling to accommodate our ascension. So if we look at the Yuga timelines, let's see, they're there. So if we look at the Yuga timelines, that Atlantis sinking, younger dry ass climate catastrophe. You see that? So that wasn't, I believe that was not supposed to happen, at least not on, maybe on higher dimensional levels. The light being said, hey, let's turn up the heat. But that wasn't supposed to happen. What was supposed to happen was that the yugas were supposed to start descending, and it was supposed to be a smooth descent. But as you've heard in my recent videos, apparently I screwed that up by, trying to hold on to higher dimensional spirit technology to keep the higher frequency of our civilization, which was, a wonder. But it was too dependent upon spirit technology. And in any case, you know the whole story. Because of my, my mistakes, we crashed. Like, we went from here to here in literally a day. And so we have the opportunity to do the same thing now. We can go from here to here. And as I understand it, so my tendency, which got us in problems 13,000 years ago, we're now in a position that I can use that same tendency I have, which is to push the boundaries of consciousness, but this time it'll work in our favor instead of against us. So, don't hold back is what I'm saying. Don't be afraid, don't hold back. We can do whatever we want. Sorry, you're hearing the fan on my laptop because it gets cranky when I'm asking it to do a lot of things. It overheats. So, what else? I think we're pretty much done here. Light councils are scrambling to keep up with the new ascension. So, there you have it, my friends. This is the Solar Flash update. I'm really excited to see what's coming. I don't know exactly what's coming down the road, but the information I'm getting is very powerful. It's again, this is not the time to slack off. This is the time to keep pushing, because again, the dark forces are on their heels. They're on their heels, and we have to go in for the kill shot. We have to go for the knockout. So we have to keep going. And what they don't see, they did not foresee, because maybe this was the whole point all along, because the dark forces have technology to be able to see the most likely probable realities. That would mean the realities that even the light beings themselves saw coming. Light beings are telling me they didn't see me coming. And what I'm accomplishing, they never foresaw. So that means that the dark forces aren't foreseeing. They don't have the ability. They didn't have the ability, number one, to see me coming. And they didn't have the ability to see what we're accomplishing with these interdimensional meditations. And so because of that, they don't have any defense. They won't see us coming. They don't see us. They don't even know we exist. And they won't even be expecting, bam, bam, bam. They won't even see it coming. So let's keep doing it. And I encourage you to do your part, which is to face your wounds, face your lower frequency issues, your fear, your anger, your resentment. I know you've been hurt, but you got to drop it. And that's what the 12 steps to 5D are about. That's what the 90-day challenge is about. That's what all the things I teach are about. So go there, go to thunderwizard.com, subscribe, do the practices. I'll tell you again, to be bulletproof, here are the 3 things. Do the higher dimensional energy practices that I teach in the shop at thunderwizard.com, as well as at the 90-day challenge, whatever, the qigong. Just do whichever practices you want. That's number 1. And then number 2 is do 12 steps to 5D, and that is free. People don't know where that is. It is on the YouTube channel. It's not on the website. It's on the YouTube channel under the playlists. So go to playlists, and go to 12 Steps to 5D. If you don't know how to do that, Google, how do I find playlists on a YouTube channel? Do the work, figure it out. And then the third thing is to have a mentor. I am still taking apprentices. So you can find that at thethunderwizard.com. You can subscribe to that. That'll make you bulletproof. If you are doing the energy practices, if you're doing the 12 Steps to 5D, and if you are working with a mentor like me or a sponsor in a 12-step group or whatever, that'll make you bulletproof. Okay, you'll be able to shift and change and work through all of your issues. And then, of course, doing the live guided interdimensional meditations, I need your help with that. And I have every intention. I'm completely committed. I mean, you know, if I have to continue to go through these days where I'm just completely useless because all of my spirit energy has gone into creating a new reality, I can live with that. I'm not giving up. I'm not stopping. There's nothing stopping me. And the more of you that I have doing these meditations, the faster this new frequency. It's a new 5D frequency that nobody's seen coming. We're creating it. You want to be the god of the next universe? This is how you do it. Live guided interdimensional meditation. All right, that's it for me. I wish you all the best. I love you all. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. And you know what to do and you know where to go. Again, the herbs, I haven't gotten any. One person tried to buy, but they couldn't go through with it because I didn't ship to Iceland, unfortunately. But nobody else. I haven't seen anybody else. So, you know, listen, I don't need to do this. If it's not going to do anything for anybody, I'll get rid of that. It'll be another thing I've tried to bring to this channel that nobody, I mean, the vast majority of programs that I've brought and teachings, you know, people just haven't been interested. And that's okay. You're not required to be interested in it. So if you want this, take advantage of it. You know, if within the next 2 or 3 weeks, if I don't get any hits there, I'll liquidate it. That's all. I love you guys. Thank you so much for everything. Please take very good care of yourselves. And remember, you literally are the most powerful being in the universe if you choose to be. I will see you all very soon.